Together we rise. Together we rise.
Welcome back, my BFF family. I have a question. Have you ever had a mirror moment? Well, let's talk about it. Have you ever had one of those moments where you found yourself checking all the boxes, journaling, saying your affirmations faithfully, and even setting boundaries? And yet, deep down, something still feels a little fragile. My BFF family, I see you and I get it because I have been there too. And then I realized something. The problem, it wasn't that I wasn't trying hard enough. The problem was I was protecting myself when life was actually inviting me to stretch. And that's what I want to talk about with you today. What it really means to live our lives bold, fulfilled, and free. And not from the polished version, not the perfect version, but the real one. Everyday journey of us expanding our capacity for the life that we deserve and that we desire. Guess what? Boldness, it's not perfection. And just begin to picture this. You're walking into a meeting one day, your outfit is tight, it's on point. Your smile is radiant and bright. Your hair, it looks flawless. Your makeup is flawless. Everything is on point. But guess what? Your thoughts, they feel a little scattered. And they might be scattered because, your kids, they needed you that morning. Your energy was already low. And then inside, you said, I felt like I was a mess. But I thought I have to look like I have it all together. But that's not boldness, that's performance. True boldness, it showed up when you finally took a deep breath and admitted, this is where I am today. No polish, no pretending, just honesty. And do you know what? What really happened? The room, it didn't fall apart. People actually began to lean in closer because honesty, it has a way of creating connection. It creates connection that performance never can. So I want you to again think about this. It's like wearing a mask. Masks, they look neat, but they're heavy. And when you take it off, you're able to breathe again. Now that's boldness, breathing, not performing. So let's begin to look at it a little bit differently. So every time you practice honesty, you begin to build the capacity to show up strong and soft all at the same time. Now, could it be your boldest move this week isn't being flawless, but being real? Now, when we talk about, being fulfillment, it doesn't necessarily mean avoidance. Now, have you ever said to yourself, I cut that person off because I needed to protect my peace? Yeah, I've said it too. But here's the thing. Cutting something out doesn't always bring peace. Many times, and oftentimes, it just gives you distance, but it doesn't deal with what's happening inside. Let me give you an example. Think about that stack of unopened mail sitting on the counter. We walk past it every day, telling ourselves, I'll deal with it later. Avoiding it feels like relief in the moment. But that pile, it doesn't go away. And the longer that we leave it, the more it weighs us down. Now, real fulfillment, it comes when we begin to sit down, open the envelopes, and then face what's inside, even if it's uncomfortable. You leave the table lighter because you've handled it. Avoidance, it doesn't protect your peace, it just postpones it. When we think about increasing our bandwidth and our capacity, fulfillment, it isn't about avoiding people, responsibilities, or even situations, but it's about building the bandwidth, the capacity, to stay connected to yourself in the middle of them all. So, my invitation to you today is, what's one area in your life that you've been walking past, like that stack of mail, that might actually need your attention so that you can grow? Now, when we talk about living life free, it's not just coping. I can remember when I discovered, affirmations. My mirror, they were covered with sticky notes. I'm enough, I'm strong, I'm worthy. But here's the truth. I didn't believe a word of it. Then a day came. I had to walk into a room. It challenged me, and everything in me wanted to shrink. But instead, I began to remember and whisper one of those affirmations under my breath, and then I began to take a step forward. Now, that step felt small, but it was the moment those words, they moved from paper to practice. So when we have sticky notes by themselves, they're like unopened gym shoes in our closet. They look good, but they don't build muscle until you put them on and take a walk. So as we say and repeat those affirmations, they begin to build muscle when we put them on, begin to apply them in our everyday lives. My dear BFF family, and you might be thinking, I hear what you're saying about capacity, but what does it actually look like in action? Well, let me share a personal story with you. When I had decided to pursue my certification and become a life coach, I was so excited about the end goal. Helping women begin to live their lives bold, fulfilled, and free, becoming their own BFF. But what I didn't realize was how much the process itself, it would stretch me. Now, there were long nights of studying, there were times participating in work groups, various assignments, and they all challenged the way that I thought. And even there were moments that I wondered, do I really have what it takes? Now, the certification, it wasn't just about the piece of paper at the end. But it was more about growing in various areas, areas like resilience and discipline, developing confidence, and all the things that I needed to actually step into becoming a coach. Now, the process was building my capacity, it was stretching my bandwidth long before the title ever did. So, when we think about capacity, I use my story as an example. It is like enrolling in a program. You don't just gain knowledge, but you can gain endurance, focus, and commitment, even in the process. And what you're becoming is just, and I won't say what you're becoming, I'm going to say who you're becoming is just as important as what you're working towards. So when we think about that word capacity and expanding our bandwidth, could it be that the very thing stretching you right now, the studying, the learning, the practice, whatever that is that's stretching you right now, it isn't just a distraction from your goal, but what if it's the exact path that's preparing you to hold it? Now, when it comes to putting it into practice, so how do we do that? What does that look like? I tell you what it's not. It's not trying to take those big leaps. Oftentimes and many times, it's just those little reps that will begin to build your muscle over time. So, here are three things that you could even try this week. The first thing would be to begin to switch your words up. Instead of saying, I'm triggered, try, I'm bothered, but I can handle it. What about decide on purpose? When a request comes your way, pause. Do I lean in? Do I let it wait? Or do I say no? And then the third thing is do one brave thing. It could be speaking up in a meeting, posting a reel, telling someone no, or one small brave step. You won't believe how much it can open up more capacity. It can open up so much more capacity and bandwidth than you ever could imagine or even realize. So, as we end this series, I want to encourage you and remind you, Bold, fulfilled, and free isn't about living perfect, but it's about being bold enough to stop performing, fulfilled enough to assign meaning on purpose, and free enough to respond with choice and not fear. So here's my invitation to you. Instead of holding peace like it might break, let's begin to build peace that bends, peace that stretches, and peace that grows with you. I want to encourage you. Pick one rep this week, just one, and notice how your capacity, your bandwidth will begin to grow. I would love for you to drop one rep in the comments so we can celebrate together. And if you are ready to stop performing strength and start living whole, and remember we said whole is not perfect, but if you're ready to step in and begin to live your life bold, fulfilled, and free, I would love for us to connect. I would love for us to have a conversation to see how that can begin to happen for you. And I always end with encourage you and desiring that you be well and that you continue to live your life bold, fulfilled, and free. Until next time, take care.